As you know that we have been dealing the chapter number 2 in business studies for class 12 CBSE syllabus, that is principles of management. And as of now we have covered the concept of scientific management in earlier video and as well as the principles of scientific management. Now in today's session we are going to talk about techniques of scientific management by F.W. Taylor. Let me tell you something about these techniques. F.W. Taylor stressed that along with his principles, means principles of scientific management, a manager should apply these techniques of scientific management as well. Only then the productivity and efficiency of the organization as well as the employee can increase, and he was focused only on increasing the productivity and efficiency. All right, so before going further we need to understand the meaning of technique. In actual, what does it mean? All right, technique means a particular way of doing something. All right, so there is a particular way of doing something, and it can be old technique, it will be new technique. So techniques can be developed on the basis of creativity as well. Only your purpose needs to be fulfilled. All right, so what is the meaning of technique? Technique means a particular way of doing something. Now let's talk about meaning of technique of scientific management. Okay, technique of scientific management means, okay, any scientific way which is experimentally proven to do any task. All right, so when we say technique of scientific management, it means that any scientific way which is experimentally proven, that is the important portion of this, experimentally proven to do any task. All right, now let's talk about F.W. Taylor. As we all know, already I have explained you in the initial videos about F.W. Taylor, what he was and how he reached up to the highest level. Okay, so during his career he stressed on application of science in management. All right, that's why he could give the concept of scientific management. Okay, so he during his career he experimented on various things. He developed a lot of methods and then he developed few techniques. Okay, so these techniques have been developed after various successful experimentation by F.W. Taylor. All right, so that is why these are known as techniques of scientific management. All right, and why these are there, why we are learning that? Because if we really want to apply the scientific management, then along with the scientific principles, these are also must. All right, now let's move on. What are the techniques of scientific management given by F.W. Taylor? So these are the 4 techniques given by F.W. Taylor for the successful application of scientific management. Let me tell you one more important thing. In few books you will find there are 7 techniques given instead of 4. What the people do, they just count it as 1, 2 and these 4. Okay, so 2 plus 4, 6 and then 7. Then it becomes 7 techniques. All right. Otherwise, in actual, what happens? Work study is a separate technique which includes these 4 sub techniques. Okay, so sometimes in the books it is also given there are 7 techniques given by F.W. Taylor. So don't get confused by that. Whether we call it combinedly work study or we individually name them method study, motion study, time study, fatigue study, that also goes. Okay, and in some of the books I have seen that one more technique is mentioned, that is mental revolution. Then let me clarify, mental revolution is not a kind of technique, it is a kind of state. Okay, and this is a kind of concept we have already discussed, which was there in the second principle given by F.W. Taylor, which was harmony not discord. So just to maintain the complete state of harmony, he stressed on the concept that was mental revolution. So that is not a technique separately, but in few books it is mentioned, that's why I am clarifying. Okay, so that goes that if 7 techniques are given instead of 4, that is acceptable, but if mental revolution is also mentioned as a technique, so that is not correct. All right, So be focused about it. Now let's move on. So it is difficult to remember all these techniques together. That's why I have prepared a code. And that kind of code, if you remember the particular code, then I guarantee you that you'll always remember each and every technique or sub technique. Alright, so what is the code? Let's have a look. So this is a code. Foreman stands and simplifies work in bracket of method, motion, time and fatigue differently. Okay, if you remember this code, you will remember all the techniques and sub techniques of FW Taylor. How? I explain you. This foreman I have taken from here, this stands I have taken from here, and this simplifies I have taken from here, and this work I have picked from here, and these method, motion, time, fatigue I have taken from here, and this last differently I have taken from this. Alright, so if you remember this code, you will remember all the techniques and sub techniques. What is the code once again? Foreman stands and simplifies work of method, motion, time and fatigue differently. Alright, you'll have to imagine, you already know that we people make a code which is something unique, so you need to imagine there is a kind of foreman standing and simplifying a kind of work related to method, motion, time and fatigue in a different manner. If you imagine that kind of situation in your mind right now, then you always remember this particular code is related to the techniques of scientific management given by F.W. Taylor. Alright, so this was there just to keep these all together in the mind. Okay, because these are very much important from the point of view of examination, from the point of view of solving case studies. Because in case studies, okay, you need to pick any of these, right? So if that is there in your mind, only then you can give the correct answer. If you forget, if you miss it, then you miss the chance as well. Alright, let's move on. Let's understand these techniques one by one. So very first we are going to talk about this functional foremanship. Alright, so let me erase everything. So functional foremanship. Alright, before getting into the detail about this technique, we need to understand the meaning of this term foreman. Again we are coming across to this, so we need to know the meaning of this. Actually, let me tell you, already we have had discussion over this. I would like to remind you once again, when in first chapter of business study, that was nature and significance of management, and when we were talking about 3 levels of management. So at the time of discussing about lower level of management, we had discussion about it. Okay, so what can be the position for the lower level management? Supervisor, foreman, okay, and superintendent. All right. So this foreman, but there you could not understand what actually foreman is. Let me explain you in detail what is foreman called. See, I think you must be remembering something. Fine. So this is the lower level manager, or you can call it, if you see from the top side, then this is the lowest level manager. Okay, and he is in direct contact with workers. Fine. He works as a representative of middle level managers as well as the representative of workers for the top level managers or middle level managers. Alright. So at this level, there is the designation called foreman. You can call it a supervisor as well. It is all same. Fine. So if you see from the side of the workers, he is there in the direct contact of these. Okay, if you see from the side of the top level managers, he is there at the lowest level of managers. Alright, so there is a designation, a manager, a person is assigned the job that you need to get the work done by the workers. Fine, and it happens mostly in factories. In factories system, there is a kind of position called foreman or supervisor. Okay, because middle level manager and the top level manager, they do not get stuck to dealing with the workers. Okay, they are not so efficient to deal with the workers. That's why they hire one person among those who is, you can say, more qualified of all of them, who is having the capability to handle all of them. You can say all the workers should listen to him, who must know how to handle the work, how to get the work done by the workers, how to solve their problem, how to tackle them, what kind of instructions need to be given, okay, what kind of incentives need to be given. So he must know that. Okay, now this is the actual situation. If you go to any factory in your nearby area, you will find that position there. Okay, maybe possible that is named as supervisor or superintendent, but you will find that person. Okay, you will find that position. Now let's talk about F.W. Taylor. As we have discussed about F.W. Taylor, that he was a machine laborer. Okay, so he was among the workers. Okay, so he understood the importance of supervisor in factory system. He knew that if supervisor plays his role very effectively and efficiently, then definitely workers are also going to perform in the same manner, and consequently the company is going to get the advantage of that. All right, company will be producing more and there will be less wastage of resources. And from the very beginning, F.W. Taylor focused only on that, just on reducing the cost and wastage, saving time, energy, and increasing the productivity or production, increasing the production capacity. All right, so he kept on applying that thing. So for everything, because we know that he was applying science, and in science best method has to be sought, so he kept on searching the best method over it. Okay, so what happened, he understood the importance of foreman in a factory. Then what happened, then he made a list. He made a list of an ideal foreman or supervisor, how a foreman is supposed to be, so that the productivity and efficiency of the workers as well as of the organization may increase. So he made a list, long list he made. All right, but what happened, when he tried to find the supervisor having the same qualification, he could not get. Okay, it was kind of impossible situation to get all those qualities in a single person. That doesn't happen. All right, and if it is there, then how you are going to find that person? It is very difficult task. Okay, so that is why he thought over it, that how, because he wanted those qualities only then the function of foreman has to be done in the manner in which he wanted, in which the result what he wanted could be achieved. All right, so in that case he gave the technique which is known as, in present scenario, functional foremanship. Okay, that's why he gave that. Now what does that technique stand for? We'll talk about it. Okay, right now I explained you what is a foreman and what is a kind of technique, why it was generated. Okay, because foreman is very much important person in the factory system. Okay, you can say all the workers are around him, all the production of the organization is around him. Okay, if he's playing his role honestly and with efficiency, then definitely organization is going to achieve big targets in time. All right, so that's why F.W. Taylor made a list of the qualifications and qualities, but he could not get all these qualities in a single person. It was not possible. That's why he gave technique, that is functional foremanship. Now what is this technique? We'll talk about it now. So what he did was, he divided the work of a foreman. Okay, because foreman has to perform various activities. Okay, and he needed certain qualities in a person to perform those activities. So on the basis of functions, he divided the activities or the work done by foreman into two departments. Okay, he divided that. He said that in a factory there has to be two departments. One is planning department and another is production department. Okay, let me tell you, that foreman is also a manager, but of lower level. So being a manager, he is supposed to do planning and he is supposed to implement that plan as well. Alright. So a foreman has to plan the process of production as well as in actual implement that process of production and put control over the resources and the workers as well. Alright, so these activities were divided into two divisions or departments or two categories you can call by F.W. Taylor. He said that in a factory system, foreman work will be divided into two departments, and these two departments will be headed by two in charges. One will be called planning in charge and another will be called production in charge. Now, this planning in charge will do all the kind of planning related to production process. Okay, from where the raw material has to be brought, how it has to be brought, when it has to be brought, in what quantities it has to be brought. Okay, what were earlier situation, earlier targets, what are present targets, everything related to production process he has to plan. That is what the job of a planning in charge. Alright, now let's talk about production department. Production department is headed by a person known as production in charge. And what are his duties? His duties are there, whatever planning has been done in planning department, it has to be executed or implemented with the same spirit. Whatever has been planned on paper has to come on the ground as well. Alright, so that is what the job of production in charge. Okay, and these planning in charge and production in charge are assisted by 4 assistants as well, according to F.W. Taylor. So they are assisted by 4, we name them specialists. Alright, so 4 specialists are there to assist planning in charge and 4 specialists are there to assist production in charge. And these 4 specialists are specialists of different functions. Okay, similarly, these 4 specialists are also of different function. That is what F.W. Taylor wanted. Okay, he wanted these qualities to be instilled in a single person, but that was not possible. That is why he made a system. He divided the complete production process or factory system into 2 departments, and these 2 departments are headed by 2 in charges, and these 2 in charges are assisted by 4 specialists each. Alright, so if you count the total specialists, 4 plus 4 become 8 specialists. Okay, and these specialists can be named as 8 foremen as well. Okay. So instead of keeping 1 foreman, F.W. Taylor suggested to keep 8 foremen having specialization in special functions. Now, what are those functions and by what name these assistants or foremen are known? We are going to have discussion on this. Okay, for that I will have to plot a diagram. In book also you can see the diagram that is there everywhere. Okay, given by F.W. Taylor. So in no time we just draw that diagram and then we have discussion over it.